All right, thank you, juniors. Thank you for coming out. I know you didn't have a choice, okay, but what you're going to hear from these seniors and myself, Coach Roxellas, and representing the rest of the wellness staff is very important. It's about your wellness class that you're about to start. Some of you have already had it. We start off with some yoga and meditation, and next week we're going to get into the classroom where you're all going to meet in the lecture hall. A couple things. I heard there's some stupid laser pointer thing going. Please don't make me come by and shoot a laser pointer. All right? I can see enough. All right, so put them away. Put your cell phones away because we need you to engage. We need you to listen. I'm going to tell you right now, and I'll defend myself to the rest of the staff, that this junior class that you're about to start is probably the most important class that you're going to take here at Wayland High School. That's how strongly we feel about it. Coach Roxellas, myself, Mr. Berry, Ms. Reed, and what other high school has their assistant principal, Ms. Cole, and the principal, Dr. Mizuguchi, also get certified in the MVP training, which you're going to learn. You don't see that in many places, but you do here. That's how important this class is to everybody. And that light's killing me. Maybe dim those a little bit. Anybody else getting blind? So again, why is this important? You're going to hear from them. We also have our best friend in the world, Jess Stefano, right there. She's on a grant. She's working with us this year. So you're going to see her also in a lot of your MVP classes. She has been with us for over 10 years and helped us tackle this tough topic. Why is it important for me? There's so many different reasons, but why I'm excited is that you got Braden up here, and last year he missed one of my classes, and yes, there is some work. It's not an easy class. We're going to have some work to do. And I said, Braden, you missed my class. Why'd you miss it? I called him out in front of everybody. And he said, Coach, I had this to do. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to miss it. He said, this is his favorite class. Now, maybe he was just BSing me because that's what he wanted to tell me because he missed the class. But I truly, he's up here today, so I feel like he wasn't. But what happened after that is that when I was walking out of that class, I had two other students come up to me and say, Coach, I want you to know this is my favorite class too. So when students are saying that, when we're going to find out, you have no idea what we're talking about right now, and you will, and that's on purpose, is we're going to build up after we spend the next 14 classes together talking about healthy relationships. Coach Rock, do you have anything to add?
I just want to say that in junior wellness, you only need twice the cycle, so it ends up being about 10 to 12 classes. So make this class a priority. Do not put your doctor's appointments during this class. Okay, you're going to have to make them up. But again, you're going to find the information in the curriculum is like super important. You're going to, I think, really enjoy it. Your peers that are up here are going to explain everything that they learned and why it's so important to them. I think it's going to really resonate with all of you. So just really lock in and give them your undivided attention during this presentation.
Just at the end, or you want to say
Hi everybody! Woo, that's loud. I can't shout like Coach P can. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to meet you all in your MVP classes. I'm going to share a bit of my story and my why at the end. But I think before we get going, you probably recognize and know a lot of people up here with me, but I thought maybe we could just quickly have them introduce themselves, and then we'll jump into the presentation, and in a few minutes you'll get to hear why they joined and why this is so important to them. But I think I'll pass it off, and we'll start the presentation.
Hi, I'm Ridley Keegan. I'm a varsity basketball captain.
I'm Braden. I'm a swimmer and the captain of the lacrosse team.
I'm Paul Lane, and I'm captain of the wrestling team.
I'm Anna Varney, and I'm director of Wind of Dance Ensemble.
I'm Rebecca Grossman, and I'm the leader of JSU.
I'm Olivia Todd, I'm a tennis captain.
I'm Lily Thompson, I'm on varsity crew and on Wind of Dance Ensemble.
I'm Finley Knapp. I'm the captain of the field hockey team, the alpine ski team, the Muses director, and the leader of Morgan's Message.
Little clunky as we have to point up when we want to go to the next slide, as Rebecca's doing, so just bear with us.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for not skipping this presentation because, as Coach P mentioned, this is a really important
cause for us, and we want to explain why. So MVP was founded in 1993 by Jackson Katz, and it was originally brought to Northeastern University specifically to educate leaders of sports teams, since those are very influential figures in college campuses.
And then in 2013, this program was brought to Wayland, and especially because our community has a deep personal connection with the issue, we think that this is vital to continue in our education through our wellness curriculum.
Thank you. So MVP Club is an extension of the class that you guys are going to take this semester, and it is dedicated to helping students recognize and educate their peers on how to help others if they are experiencing dating violence.
We are also going to talk about resources for students and what to do if you see, hear, or witness anything. You can always come talk to any of us on the stage, any of the wellness staff, any of the staff in the high school, and we will also go over here and in your wellness curriculum who to talk to and what to do if something occurs, because we don't want to just educate you, we want to leave you with the tools to actually enact this in your real lives.
Yes, so I'm going to hand this off to Ridley, and we're going to share why we all are dedicated to this club.
I joined MVP not only because I thought the class was extremely valuable in what I was learning, but also I realized that there isn't a lot of male representation in MVP. I think it's a really important thing for us guys to talk about and get involved in, and I think it's really important to me.
I joined MVP because last year, as Coach B said, it was one of my favorite classes. And then this year rolled around, I wasn't really thinking about MVP Club. And before I even started, Coach B sent me out an email. It was like, I want you to join. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So I joined MVP Club.
Okay, so like Ridley said, there's not a lot of male representation in MVP, and I just thought it would be really important to spread awareness, so I joined the club.
I joined MVP to learn how to shed light on the queer community, which is often overlooked when it comes to domestic violence, and it's also a cause that's really important to me.
I joined MVP because I really care about our community, and I think it's really easy for people to say, like, this doesn't happen here, and we don't want to believe that it can happen to us or our friends, and so I think it's really important to shed light on the issue and keep talking about it and make sure everyone's educated.
I think our community often overlooks this issue because we see it as like it doesn't happen here, so I joined this club so we can help spread awareness of this issue and help take steps to stop it.
I joined when Olivia invited me to go to the football game, and I really liked the community and how we raised $850 for the Lauren Dunasty Foundation, and I really liked the cause, so I continue to come to meetings.
I joined because, as Rebecca was saying, we live in kind of the Wayland bubble. We don't like to believe that anything bad can happen here. We live in a really safe town. But obviously, stuff like this does happen. I know people who have been affected by this. I'm sure a lot of you do, whether or not you're aware of it. So I think that it's important that we're all educated on this so that we know how to take the steps to prevent.
Okay, so now you're going to take a minute to just think to yourself, and then we're going to go around and ask everybody, what do you think that what does dating violence kind of mean to you, and like what do you see it as? So take a minute to think, and then Anna will run around and have you guys share your answers.
Turn and talk to a friend if you need to.
Now you can talk. Now you can talk for a minute.
Thank you, Ruth. Alright, I'm going to pass the microphone up to Melissa.
Alright, here we go.
Physical abuse.
Anyone else want to raise a brave hand? Thank you.
Emotional abuse.
Manipulation and gaslighting. Any other hands?
Oh, that was not working.
Okay. So we all heard that there are many different ways, and they're not all like. I think a lot of people think that domestic violence is usually abusive, like physically abusive, but as we heard, that it can also be like more emotional or mental. So all these things up here are also different examples of what domestic violence can be, but also just to note that there are obviously a lot of them, so it kind of just matters more about if you feel like it's domestic violence rather than if it's just like categorized by a specific thing. But yeah, and another important thing is that it doesn't have to, like, I feel like a lot of people think of it as a man to a woman, but it can obviously be a woman to man or man to man or woman to woman, so it's important to know that it's like not necessarily confined to certain like stereotypes that surround it.
Okay, are we doing the same? Oh, yeah. Okay, so now, same thing, turn and talk about what are some warning signs of unhealthy relationships. You guys talked about like what is defined by domestic violence, but what you can see in your own relationship and what you can see in others' relationships.
Some warning signs of unhealthy relationships is when someone's really controlling and wants to know where you are at all times.
Can I hear from anyone else?
Ready. I do roll call, sorry.
Yeah, kind of just like if they're blowing up their phone, being like, where are you, who are you with, why are you there, like a lot.
Oh, Ben, you got one? Ben, Aaron, yeah, what you got? You got a voice. Hey, I saw that great voice the other day out there. Hey, way to go. I need your voice now more than ever.
Alcoholism.
We'll elaborate on that in class.
All right. Next. There we go. Okay. You guys pointed out a lot of like more specific examples, but categorized in general, we have intensity. So if someone is really, really intense with their feelings and they get angry or they get really sad about like certain issues, if you mess up, that can be a sign. Manipulation, so when someone's controlling you, whether or not you're aware of it. Sabotage, so when people try and hurt you or your reputation or something that you're striving for to maintain control. Guilting is when someone makes you feel responsible for something, for a mistake, or for somebody else's action. So if somebody does something bad and they're like, well, this is your fault because you did this to me. Deflecting responsibility, similar to guilting, is changing who
is responsible for the event that happened. Possessiveness.
Yeah, hey, listen up.
Okay. A lot of you said like controlling and texting them all the time. That's kind of like possessiveness. It's just always like being in control of the other person and kind of treating them like an object, like you own them, they have to do what you say. Isolation is cutting them off from the other people that they love or they're close to, so that, again, you can have them all to yourself. Belittling is when you're talking down to someone, you're saying that they're stupid or they're not good at this, so that they feel like they're not as good and so that they owe everything to you. Volatility is when someone has a really strong, unpredictable reaction that makes you feel scared, confused, or intimidated, sorry. And then betrayal, when someone betrays you, and either intentionally or like not intentionally, but they are kind of aware that they're doing it and they're not that regretful of it.
Okay, so our next question is, what does a healthy relationship look like? So turn and talk again.
Accepting someone for who they are despite their flaws. That's beautiful.
Dylan, you got one. Hey, Dylan.
Honesty.
Trust.
Would anyone else like to share?
Communication.
All right, Brady, take it away.
Okay, those were some great answers. Most of these are pretty obvious, but I want to highlight some. You want to have a comfortable pace. You don't want to go from barely talking to them to being almost living with them immediately. Healthy conflict. It's okay to disagree on things, but you don't want it to escalate into an argument. You can have a good conversation. And then taking responsibility. Everyone's gonna mess up, but as long as you own up to it, then you can move on and be all right.
Okay, just to put a couple things into perspective, because sometimes numbers help with that. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 10 men have experienced sexual violence at some point in their lifetime. And over 43 million women and 38 million men have experienced psychological aggression by an intimate partner. And studies indicate that in the LGBTQ+ community, approximately 1 in 4 people will be abused by their partner. Another thing is that rape is the most unreported crime in the world worldwide, and about 63% of rapes go unreported.
We're just going to watch a quick video.
There is sound.
We got practice.
Can you just skip it?
We can't keep doing this, all right?
It's like a butterfly kiss or a ladybug kiss.
Those are eyes.
That.
You scared me.
Hey. Yeah, I couldn't wait to see you. I didn't mean to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I'm just thinking about you. I was just trying to be sweet.
There's a picture that they look like her.
Totally.
This is like the girl from that movie. Could be the eyes, maybe the smile.
Jeez, Will, stop.
Huh? What? We're all having a good time here, right? Hey. I'm sorry. Look, I got drunk and I was stupid.
What?
I don't know. Phone's ringing.
No, it's fine.
Alright. It's still ringing. You know why you did it? What if it's an emergency or something?
Not, you're just a friend.
Is this a friend? Alright, then pick it up, show me. If you're not hiding something, let me see the phone.
Calm down.
Yeah, I want to see it. I just want to look at your phone. Just let me look at your phone.
Hey,
Show me your phone.
stop. Stop.
Zoe, excuse me. Zoe. No, walk away from me. Like I don't even care. Somebody's calling you. Look at that phone. Stop trying, man. I'm the bad guy. Why are you a liar?
I'm not a liar!
You are a liar.
I'm not a liar!
You're lying right now. You're lying right
Okay, so we're gonna do another turn and talk. What stood out to you about this video?
do.
How on the outside their relationship looked so good, but on the inside it really wasn't.
She went back.
She went back.
She went back to the I see that.
I was sitting here, so I heard a lot.
I noticed all of like the posts that showed up of people that said good things about their relationship, but in reality it wasn't.
Will was just really controlling of Zoe, and it's just like not good.
I could like definitely understand and see the warning signs. A lot of them were pretty clear to me, and I could understand them. So, and I could understand that this is not a healthy relationship.
At the end, Will manipulated Zoe into feeling like the bad guy, and she was like apologetic even though she did nothing wrong, and he was the one who did something wrong.
Keep going, get the last. He's got it. One more. Got one.
She was like so delusional and like manipulating that like she kept going back and like he just made her keep going back and back and back.
Okay, so we have another question. Why do you think betrayal is a sign of an unhealthy relationship? And what are some other examples of betrayal besides cheating?
Alright, turn to talk to a friend. I'm gonna do cold call. Vanessa, how?
Going through their phones.
Prioritizing friendships over the relationships.
In the video, we saw that Will was wanting to see Zoe's phone. Is sharing passwords or other private information a healthy way to build trust? Why or why not?
I mean, I don't feel like it's unhealthy to share passwords. I feel like it's dependent on what you want to do in your relationship. But if it's forced, then it's not healthy.
Another question, turn to talk. If you saw these behaviors in a relationship or friends, what could you do?
I think you should try and intervene with their actions and make them self-aware of what they're doing.
Tell a trusted adult.
So, like, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, like, if you, like, from perspective of yourself, if you see, like, your man, you know, going back to, like, a girl or something, and, like, you think she's being, like, abusive or something like that, like, you can explain, like, how you feel and stuff, but if your friend's delusional and he doesn't want to listen to anything you say, then there's nothing you can really do about it.
Okay, those were a lot of great answers. Someone have another? Oh, we have one more.
I would also kind of say, like, if your friend, or if you're like in a, if you're experiencing a bad relationship or something, if your friend tells you that it's not healthy, I think it's good to listen to them because you have their trust, and I also agree with the telling a trusted adult part. That is really important.
Okay, that was another great answer. A lot of us were focused on whether you're in the relationship and how to like immediately get out of the situation. But now Rebecca and I are going to talk about what you should specifically do and what you should avoid when you're supporting someone who has been going through this or is currently going through it. So first off, do lead with transparency. You don't want to lie and say like, oh, I'm not going to tell anyone. But because if someone's in trouble and they need help, you should be telling an adult, you should be telling someone who can get them out of that situation. And you don't want to say, like, you don't want to make up lies and be like, oh, everything, we're going to fix this entirely, we're going to do this, this, and this. Like, you want to be clear about what you're going to do and how you're going to get there with them.
Another really important thing to do is listen and believe a survivor when they come and talk to you. Let them tell you their story. Don't ask them invasive questions. And when they do say, like, whatever they do tell you, it's really important to believe them. When survivors are telling a story, especially if it's traumatic, often stories might not be as fluid as you may seem. Like, there might be gaps in their memory just because of the traumatic nature of the event, but it's still important to just listen and believe them and give them the space they need.
Another important thing is to ask open-ended questions like, how can I support you? How do you want to approach this situation? Because a lot of the times they've had power stripped away from them. That's usually what happens in an abusive relationship, is that they lose control. So if they come to you with this problem, then you immediately take control from them and say, we're going to do it this way, this is how we're going to go through it, then you're putting them back into a traumatic place.
To make the survivor feel comfortable and make them feel like they can trust you, it's really important to reflect their language, like the pronouns, the relationship, and their experience. You don't want, like, basically reflect how they're talking. You want to mimic that to make them feel like at ease.
You also want to offer options about how you're going to get through the situation. Like I said, you can't tell them exactly how the situation is going to be handled, exactly how they should feel about the situation. You can say, we can talk to this person, or we can try this to get you out. Like, there's a lot of different ways that you can approach this.
Another really important thing to do is to own your mistakes and recognize intent versus impact, because even though you're going through this training, you're going through this course, in the moment you may say the wrong thing, you may do something on the don't column, but your heart might be in the right place. So even if you ask like very like invasive questions or you say the wrong thing, make sure that like you recognize that, like, okay, I'm saying this out of a good place, and make sure that they know that, because sometimes, like, we're human, we make mistakes. So as long as you're in the right place, it's okay.
Similar, being in the right place. You need to get support for yourself if you're helping someone with this. It's a really heavy topic, and even if you're not the one experiencing the relationship or the situation, hearing about it and knowing that someone you care about is going through this is really, can be really detrimental to your own health. So it's important that you're in the right place when you're supporting someone.
Now shifting over on what not to do when supporting a survivor, kind of like what Finley said earlier, do not tell someone that you can keep something a secret if you can. If you feel like they're in danger or feel like it would be unsafe to keep that a secret. It's not fair to them to tell them you can if you cannot. So just lead with transparency and don't tell them lies that it's not helpful.
Don't minimize their experience. If someone comes to you with something, don't say, oh, well, it wasn't rape, so it doesn't matter. Like, every situation matters. Every scenario with this topic is important and deserves attention. And if you go to someone with your problem and they say, oh, it doesn't matter, you're being dramatic, then you're not going to want to open up to anybody else about it.
Also, don't ask for specific details about their experience. We're humans, it's really natural to be curious and want to know what happened, but that's not our place right now. It's their space to tell their story. And while we do want to know details and ask questions because we want to fill the gaps in our own mind, that's not the priority right now. Just listen to what they have to say and react based on that.
Don't label or assume anything about the situation. Like we saw in the video, Zoe and Will's relationship seemed perfect to the outside, but you don't know what's going on in between two people, and you won't know because you're not there, so you can't assume details if they haven't personally shared those with you.
It's also not helpful to offer advice. You really just want to offer options because they're going to you to get they're going to you to get help, not for you to tell them what to do. So if you do feel the need to say something, give them options. Don't tell them this is what you should do.
And lastly, I know we said that you shouldn't be keeping a secret if someone's in trouble. That doesn't mean go and tell everybody that person's business. Don't share identifying information or anything about the story with anyone that doesn't need to know it. It's a need-to-know basis, and Wayland's a really small town and a really small school, and word gets around fast. Everybody knows everybody's business, basically. But there's certain things that don't need to be shared and should not be shared with anyone unless it's an absolute necessity.
Okay, so there's two ways to handle a situation like these. So you can either be an upstander or you can be a bystander. So obviously being an upstander is what you should do. Pretty much the ways to do this is to stand up for the person, like you could say or shout something. You can obviously call 911 if you think that somebody's in actually a lot of danger. You can walk closer to the incident, and you can try to keep them safe in whatever way you can by just getting them out or doing whatever you can to just make sure that they can get out of the situation safely.
A bystander kind of just stands around. They don't do anything. They don't plan on doing anything. And that's not helpful to the person who's being hurt or anything. So I guess if you see something, say something.
Okay, so obviously we're always all here for you, but we know that obviously you might not necessarily want to come to one of us, so go to whoever you feel comfortable with if you have any issues, and of course come to us or Jess or Coach Ruck or Coach P if you have any questions about this or comments or any concerns about what we talked about today.
Can we give a really big round of applause here? So we want to make sure we have an opportunity for you all to ask questions, but I want to just take a moment and talk about the responsibility that you all have starting now. So I know that this is an uncomfortable conversation. I know these are hard things to talk about. And I know that sometimes when we're uncomfortable, we deal with that through humor. We make jokes, we laugh, we try to talk to distract ourselves. All of that makes sense. The thing that I know from doing this work for most of my life is that every single one of us knows someone who's been impacted by domestic violence, dating violence, or sexual violence. And what I also know is that it's often the person you least expect. So what I challenge you all to think about, you don't need to know everything yet. You haven't even started the class. This is just the coming attractions. You're gonna learn so much, not just about the topic, but you're gonna learn tangible skills to know how to intervene in ways that keep you safe, but also interrupt things from escalating, which is incredibly important. So we're not expecting you to be where you're going to be in June when you've gotten to spend time in 12 sessions learning with each other. But what I do expect of you all is to really think about, as you're sitting here now, and as you're walking out of here when this concludes, what you say, what you do, is going to matter to the people around you. So if we take this as an opportunity to joke, if we take this as an opportunity to make light or minimize these stories, you just don't know who in your life is listening and how that impacts them. Our words matter a lot. And you all shared some really important insights that can mean a lot to somebody if they're going through this. But it's also important to pay attention to the language that we use that can sometimes unintentionally sound like judgment. So if I am watching this presentation and I'm starting to identify some of the behaviors that were shown as unhealthy, as something that I'm going through, but I'm also hearing people who stay in relationships like this judged, be called delusional, I don't want to be seen as delusional. I don't want people to judge me. And so even though we may not necessarily mean that as a judgment, as we say it about a video, I want us to keep in mind that we just don't know who is sitting here right now for whom that is an incredibly personal topic. I can hear the talking and I can hear the laughing and I get it. I joined MVP when I was a sophomore at Newton North High School, and I was sitting in an auditorium with 650 of my peers. And I was doing a lot of what some of you are doing right now. I was using it as an excuse to just not be in class. I thought it was a good reason to just avoid having to do what I would normally be doing and get to chat with my best friends who were sitting next to me. But I was a little bit intrigued because instead of it being an outside speaker like I was used to in assemblies, it was a group of older students, exactly like you have right now. And in my presentation, they shared information that I had never heard before. They shared definitions of domestic and dating violence as being about power and control, not just about physical violence. They talked about sexual assault as this big umbrella term that incorporates anything that is unwanted. And as they were talking and they were sharing some of the statistics that you heard, including 1 in 4 women, I started thinking about the fact that I was sitting with my 3 best girlfriends. So we made up 4 women. And my first thought was how much it would kill me if that happened to one of them. How much I would want to know what to do and what not to do to support them. But as I started to really pay attention to what they were describing, I realized that we already made up that 1 in 4. That I had already had the experiences they were talking about. I just didn't have the words to tell anybody about what I was going through. My story is not unique. I chose that day to dedicate my life to this work, and now, 25 years later, I get to be standing here in an auditorium with all of you, with your amazing peers, who chose to make this something that they're committed to. But I have met so many people, male students, female students, non-binary students, who identify with these issues personally. And for each one of them, they are carrying not only the burden of their experience, but the burden of the shame and the stigma that we attach to it. The fear of what people will think of them, that they have been harmed. So I really, really want to challenge you all today, as you are sitting here now, and as you leave this auditorium, I understand it's uncomfortable. I understand that it's more comfortable to make jokes. You just don't know who's listening to those jokes and the impact that it may have on them. So being an upstander isn't about putting on a superhero cape. And it isn't about always knowing the exact right thing to say. Being an upstander isn't about knowing everything. It's about how we hold what we don't know. And what we don't know is all the things our friends are going through, even if we think we do. And so being an upstander, being a good friend, being able to have healthy relationships that aren't just about romantic relationships, but any kind of relationship, is really thinking about the impact that we have. And we may feel like, well, I'm a good person. I would never do something like that. I would never hurt someone like that. But we may not always understand that our intention and our impact don't always match. So I encourage you all to think about the courage it took for your peers to come up here today, all the practice and work that went into you creating this presentation, and to remember that for somebody in this room, just as it was true for me in my auditorium, this may be something that changes the course of their life. So I thank you for paying such close attention. I thank you for being so respectful and supporting not just the people up here, but your friends and the people you're sitting with. And this is your time, so we want to make sure that we also give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you have about the class or about any of the topics that we covered today. So I'm going to turn it over to you all. Maybe we'll turn the lights back up just so we can see you if you do have any questions.
Does anyone have any questions or comments or anything? I think Kira does. Do you like the class? Yes, I really like the class. I think it's obviously a very important topic, and it's a very engaging class. A lot of it, like most classes, you have to sit there while people talk at you. This class, you're up, you're moving, you're having conversations and discussions with your peers, and I think it's a really engaging class. And I think we'll all enjoy it more than you are probably expecting to.
I was just wondering, how often do you meet? At the club. I'm sorry, at the class.
Coach B can correct me on this, but I believe it's twice a cycle. It's twice a cycle.
Anyone else? Okay.
Thank you guys again for coming today. We are all here because this is a really important cause for us, and we hope that you take the time to pay attention in class and really put in the work to be an upstander for your peers.
And I also want to say, the reason why we wanted to have juniors here is obviously you guys are taking this class and you're starting now, but you guys are also leaders of the school, you're upperclassmen. We're leaving in 4 months, 5 months, whatever. And you guys are going to be the leaders of the school. And some of you were at our leadership training that we did a few weeks ago, but it was really great to have you guys there. And the rest of you that weren't there, you guys are still leaders. As the oldest people, or soon to be the oldest people in the school, you're going to be a leader in some capacity, no matter if you're aware of it or not. So we think that it's important that you guys are educated on this, because people look up to you, and you can help stop this issue in our school.
And I want to give a shout out to everybody who raised their hand today and answered, because I know that's not easy to do, so we really appreciate you. If you have a question or a comment that you don't feel comfortable raising your hand and asking in front of everyone, come chat with us. We'll hang out. We're happy to talk with you guys more. Thank you all so much for coming.